So we have Madana-gopāla here. He'll be giving tonight's talk and also leading the kirtan. So he is a senior member in the Krishna movement and practicing Krishna consciousness for his whole life, but over many decades. So, and yeah, he's a wonderful speaker and devotee. And he's here with his good wife, Manasi Ganga. Right? So yes, we'd like to welcome them. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we'll just start with the kirtan, which will be 30 minutes, and then we'll have the talk 30 minutes, and we'll serve dinner at 8:15.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. It's a real pleasure to be back here with all of you again. The Krishna Lounge. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare laptop pull up the Srila Prabhupada ki Hare
Thank you everyone for coming tonight. So I know many of you are regulars, but some of you are here for the first time. So the schedule is we'll have a talk now until 8:15. 8:15 we'll serve out dinner. Tonight's talk will also be given by our visiting guest, Madana-gopāla Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome back to the Krishna Lounge. It's really great to see all of you here tonight. Just want to express some heartfelt gratitude to the amazing team who organizes these evenings. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Balaram Prabhu and other leaders. The kirtan, the prasadam, the dinner, the lighting, the setup, the smiles. Thank you all for creating a space where we can pause, where we can breathe, where we can connect at a much deeper level than normal. So now before I dive into tonight's topic, I want to recognize something about you all. You could have stayed home. You could have gone to the gym, be watching Netflix or scrolling TikTok. But instead, you came to a spiritual space. You're giving your attention to something deeper. That tells me something. You're not just living, you're seeking. And that's powerful. That means we can have a real conversation tonight. I was here a few months ago. Some of you were here, right in this space. We had a session called The Power of Thought. Remember? In that talk, we explored how what you focus your mind on becomes your reality. The mind is like a stream, and where it flows, your whole inner life goes. We discussed how just by choosing to direct your thoughts toward something uplifting, something deeper, your life begins to change. Not with belief, but with experience. We even tried a short meditation using the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, a kind of spiritual sound that brings you closer to your own higher self. But here's the thing. Before you can focus your thoughts, before you even begin a journey, you need to trust the path. You need to trust it enough to take that first step. So tonight's topic is an interesting word. Trust. Sometimes also known as faith. Now let's be a little real. The word faith makes a lot of modern people uneasy. Made me uneasy when I first went. What's the point? We often think of faith as like believing in something without evidence. Just have some faith, you know? Or worse, being told not to question something. That's not acceptable to me. Or to most of us, really. But in reality, we use faith all the time. And it's not blind. You get on a plane, you trust that the pilot has had more than one flying lesson. You take a medication that you get from the pharmacy, and you trust that it's been tested. You go to school, you trust your professor knows more than your roommate, for example. So even science begins with faith in a process. A scientist believes that reality is knowable, that experiments are repeatable, and that the formulas aren't lying. So let's redefine faith tonight. Yeah. Faith simply means this. You're saying to yourself, this looks promising, I'm going to try it. That's all. Not blind belief, but trusted action. And in the spiritual path, particularly the path of inner awakening that we talk about here, that's all you're asked to do in the beginning. Not to sign your life away, not to accept dogma, just to try. Here's a roadmap. Try following it, see if it works. Let's say you're visiting a city for the first time, and a local person gives you some directions. You go 3 blocks down, take a left at the park, and then right past the tall white church, my house has a red door. You haven't seen the red door in your life. You don't even know it's there. But based on trust, maybe in the friend, maybe in their confidence, you start walking. And guess what happens? If the landmarks start showing up exactly as described, then your trust increases. It's very natural. By the time you see the red door, you're like, wow, this person really knew the way. This is good. That's how spiritual growth works. In the beginning, you don't have the destination. You just have the directions. But as you follow them, you start seeing the landmarks. What are the landmarks? Inner peace, emotional balance, improved relationships. Those are the landmarks. And your trust becomes deeper. Not because you believed harder, but because you walked the path and saw it work. Let me give another analogy. I think bring this home. Especially if you're more scientifically minded, intellectually minded. Imagine a first-year college chemistry student. They walk into class and the professor starts talking about atoms and molecules and quantum energy levels and electrons jumping around. This student hasn't seen any of these things. No molecule has personally said, hello, I'm a molecule. No. All they have is a theory, the textbook, the reputation of the school, and some initial faith. They believe, okay, this has worked for thousands of others, let me try it. They show up for the lectures, they study the patterns, they do simple experiments in the lab. Over the next 4 years, they'll build deeper understanding, they'll gain confidence. But it's still theory and little of lab work. Now fast forward, the same student goes to the master's program. And for the first time, they're allowed to use an advanced tool, the STM, the Scanning Tunneling Microscope. With this tool, you can literally see individual atoms on the surface. Like, you can literally see it on the screen. Like, this is what atoms would look like. It's real all of a sudden. It's not theory anymore. It's visible. And they sit back and go, whoa, it was real all along. But at that moment, that microscope moment, that moment only came because they followed the process step by step. Now, if that student were shown that screen in the first week when they're freshmen, that's, show me an atom, I don't believe it. Here. What is this? Looks like, like when my TV is not working and you get snow on it. It looks like that, They're seeing the atom, but they don't recognize. But only after 6 years is it, oh, whoa. Seeing is not the problem, it's recognition. See? And that's exactly what happens in an authentic spiritual practice. It's just as scientific. It's just as democratic. At first, you're just hearing ideas. You're not the body, you're not this gross body, you're consciousness itself. You're part of a loving source. This sound vibration, this mantra that we meditate on, connects you with that source. These are all theories. First, it's just like a textbook. You can't see it, you can't touch it, or prove it to someone else. But if you try consistently, even 5 minutes of meditation a day, a thoughtful reflection, some deeper study, you begin to notice some things. You begin to notice a little more calm in your mind that you couldn't simulate before, because you can't fake these things. A little more clarity in your purpose.
More present.
Sorry?
More present.
More present, yes, more clarity, more present, a little more patience in your heart. These are real experiences. Those are your first lab results. And then just like the chemistry student, one day something shifts, clicks. The mantra hits different. The emotions go deeper. You feel seen, not by people, but by something higher. That is your microscope moment. And you realize this wasn't just a belief. This was a science. And it's working on me. The science of self-realization. Why do most people miss the miracle? Many people never get there. Not because the science doesn't work, but because they stop at step 1. They hear the theory and dismiss it. Or try it once and say, didn't feel anything. Well, that's their experience. It's valid, but imagine if the chemistry student dropped out of the first week because they didn't get to use the microscope. We would say, hang in there. The magic comes later. Spiritual growth is the same. Be consistent, be curious, be patient, and most importantly, stay open. And that's very important. So here's where it all comes together. Faith is not blind. Faith is bold. It's the courage to say, maybe this is real. Maybe it's worth trying. Maybe I don't know everything yet. And maybe that's okay. I remember when I was a teenager, when you become a teenager, then you know everything. Especially when you get educated in a lot of cool things all at once, and all of a sudden your parents don't quite understand what you're studying at school, then a sort of hubris takes over us. What? You don't know this, Dad? I know everything now. That was my personal moment when I was really filled with that. I'd come to the conclusion there cannot be a God. There cannot be anything higher. I was very adamant about it. Just a teenager, maybe I was 8th grade. It's a good age to be in, but all kinds of things develop in your mind. This notion that maybe I don't know everything yet, that goes away. It needs a little bit of humbling to bring it back down again. And you realize that the grown-ups and the adults who really don't know anything, they know a lot more. They're more humble. They've been humbled by time. This is normal. It's very normal. Most kids go through this. But that's okay. If I don't know everything yet, that's okay. All great discoveries in science, in love, in art, in healing, they all begin with that one inner whisper. What is that? I think this is worth a shot. That's faith. It's worth a shot. Give it a shot. Give it a try. I'll give it at least enough time to see if it'll work on me. So some patience is also required. If you start seeing landmarks, then you should give it more time. Give it a little more. You see the landmarks when you're going through the instructions, through the directions, right? So tonight I invite you. Let this be your step, your first step or your next step, wherever you're at. Or a step back into the path you may have tried and kind of put a pause on it. Step back in it. Because what's waiting on the other side is something no microscope can show you. No telescope can show you. And yet you will see. And the blind man said, I see. Because this is something you see beyond these eyes. You feel it. The Bhagavad Gita mentions Pratyakshagamam dharmyam. It's a line, beautiful lines. It's Pratyaksha. Means in front of your eyes, you will see. It's the king of knowledge, this process. But your own heart will know it when you find it. At that point, nobody will need to tell you that you have arrived. You step out in the sun. You don't turn on the flashlight on your iPhone to see where's the sun. Where is it? That's what happens when self-realization dawns on the soul. You don't need any external confirmation to tell you you've arrived. So I am very pleased to see that all of you have come here. It's a real honor to be in the presence of genuine seekers. I can feel the vibe of your seeking hearts. I can hear the heartbeat. It really means a lot to me. Just to be in your presence. It's humbling for me. It's an honor that I'm getting this opportunity to talk to you. I have myself a lot more to learn. I'm on the path. But I'm praying that we can all make progress on this outstanding, astounding process. Find the inner peace, the calm, the happiness, the joy, the level of depth, patience, tolerance, the ability to be resilient in the face of ups and downs. All these are coming. We've all tasted them a little bit, and therefore we keep coming here to get a little more of that inner joy, connecting with our source. So, thank you very much for your kind attention and your valuable time. So let's open up for some questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your doubts, your perspectives. This space is for you. And after that, dinner will be ready. You're welcome to hang out some more after that and chat with any of our devotees here, these volunteers. So, thank you for coming out tonight, not just to Krishna Lounge, but to your own inner adventure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You don't have any comments or questions? We can go on for another over 10, 15 minutes or so. There's another microphone, I think. Just about 7 minutes. Oh, 8:15, yes, about 7 minutes or so. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Vikas. Okay, cool. I was wondering about the analogy that you brought up in the end about how you don't need an iPhone flashlight. I don't know, like that,
To find the sun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was thinking about how sometimes one may think, or you may be with in a setting, people may think that we've come to fully understand God or know God, so it's not really necessary to I guess we can become illusioned to think that we've come to fully understand God, and we think that we are like under the sun. So I'm wondering, like, how would we know who could, like, because I would imagine there's a description of like knowing like you fully realize God without being fully like under being illusioned a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes. It's a good question. How do I know I'm actually seeing the sun versus in some kind of delusion that I'm seeing something, I'm still in the dark? Right? Is that the essence of your question? Yes. It's a good question because it's very easy to be in illusion about our own place or how far we've come along. For example, okay, how do you know that you have made it? In the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, there's a very nice statement. It describes the success. Bhakti pareshanu bhava virakti. This is a very simple line. It means, this is what happens when you've made it. Or when you start making it. You get a sense, okay, we've made progress, a little bit of progress. Paresh Anubhav and Virakti. Paresh refers to our source. Who is our source? That's Krishna. We chant Hare Krishna, the all-attractive source of everything. Paresha Anubhav. Anubhav refers to experience. What does that experience look like? The experience is measured in certain ways. For example, it's an endless stream of bliss in your life. Nothing can shake that. No external circumstance can dampen your spirit. Nothing. It's a very strong confidence in life that comes in because you're just feeling so much joy. Nothing can bring you down. Yes, you will feel the pain of others and you'll want to help them. That actually gets stronger and more sensitive and deeper, and that gets the status of what we call compassion. So your empathy increases. But for your own personal comforts, your personal life, nothing can bring you down in that sense. That's one way of measuring it. Why? Because the presence of Krishna in your heart, in your life, you see the hand of Krishna in everything. Not just right now, but even retrospectively. What do I mean by retrospectively? It means you look back in history, oh my God, Krishna has always been there. I remember in this year, this happened, and that was certainly Krishna's hand. There's no other way it could have been. When I thought it was a very painful junction, it was actually an important point for my personal development. And so you start seeing things retrospectively. And that gives you happiness too. Because you see Krishna has always been with you. So this is called Paresh Anubhav. You see the hand of Krishna in your life right now. You see the hand of Krishna in your life throughout. And that gives you confidence Krishna is always going to be with you in the future as well. And that confidence is that trust gives you an inner strength, a resilience that is categorically different from the pretentious inner strength that we pump ourselves up with pep talks. See? So that's one thing. Paresh Anubhav, the experience of Krishna. The second is Virakti. Virakti refers to a genuine detachment from selfishness, selfish pursuits. Like you have no more motivation to do selfish things, to exploit others. Not even a trace, not even an ounce. Your own personal comfort comes last. Why? Because the happiness of others is your priority now. Helping others is your joy now. Giving yourself to the world is your driving force. So these two things start happening. Virakti means you don't care for things that you used to run after before for selfish enjoyment and exploitation. These two things cannot be faked. You want to measure things that cannot be faked. So when you have that inner resilience developing, that's what I'm saying, it's such an immense feeling. Of course, it happens in degrees. You start a little bit, you're 1%, 2%. It's like when the sun starts rising, you see a little bit of pink in the sky. You don't see the sun right away. But the initial rays of the sun give you so much hope. Wow, this is working. I'm seeing. It's only a matter of time when the sun is blazing in the sky. That time you don't need to pull your phone out to look for the sun. That's how you measure it. These are litmus tests. There are quite a few litmus tests, but those are the two fundamental categories that you sense you perceive the presence of Krishna in your life, and your desires that are selfish just drop away naturally without any effort, because it's now you realize these things are not worth it. It's actually they're regressive for my happiness. And things become clear, and then your presence in other people's lives will be a blessing, because then your peace will flow into others. Your happiness, your smile will touch others' hearts. They won't even know why. Then you see. So this is the path. These are the promises. But you have to walk it to check it if it works. You can only go so far by reading the ingredients of the bottle of honey. Take the bottle of honey, read the ingredients, it just says one thing, honey. Right? Okay, then you look up on Wikipedia, what is it made of, and it'll give you all the different chemical formulas, and the different flavors, and clover leaf honey is different, and then some local honey, and lemon blossom honey. You can do a PhD on it, get multiple degrees on honey, but if you never open the bottle and taste it, all those PhDs are useless until you experience it. The theory can only take you so far. You can never really feel. So you have to open the bottle, taste it for yourself. Hey, you have a PhD, you don't have PhDs, and it doesn't matter. This is yummy. You don't need to convince someone to go for another spoonful. So that's the nature of the process. Yes, you study theory, but the theory can only take you so far. You can't philosophize your way to bliss. You have to dive into the actual meditation, the mantra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Prabhupada ki.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming tonight, especially the regulars and also the newcomers tonight. Thank you so much for coming. And if you are here for the first time, please know we have this every Thursday at the same time, chanting starting at 7:15. And then a talk starting at 7:45, dinner at 8:15 every Thursday. We have other Krishna lunch events throughout the week though, at different times and different locations. So if you don't already know when and where those are, then take an events guide. Those papers are found on this table. This is our book table. So take a look at the books. Take any book that attracts you. You can also there are some little chanting beads there, little kits, mantra meditation bead kits. So also take a look at those if you like. Anything you take, you can leave a donation in the black donation box there. You're also welcome to give a donation to help with the dinners each week if you can and if you'd like to. And now we'll serve out dinner. We'll serve dinner on the patio. You can sit on the patio, come back and sit in here. We may have a little more kirtan later after dinner too, so you can stand and find out. Thank you so much.
Mukunda Charan Prabhu, I want to contribute towards the dinner.